Okay, welcome to our chapter on photography. This is chapter 9 in your textbook. So we're going to start with the evolution of photography. And the forerunner of the modern camera was the camera obscura, which literally means dark chamber. Your text also wants you to know about um, the first satisfactory photographs were called daguerreotypes, and they were made by exposing iodized silver plates in the presence of mercury vapor, and they could only photograph stationary objects. And the most common use at first was photography. So these are some techniques and key terms that you need to know. The first one is the image sensor. In a traditional camera, a sensor was either a chemically treated plate or a chemical film. In today's digital cameras, the sensor converts light into an electric charge, which the camera software reconstitutes as a photograph for display on the screen. Then we have focal length. That is the distance between the lens and the sensor. The next one is aperture, which is the width of the opening that lets in light. The aperture is expressed as an f-stop, which is the ratio of the focal length to the size of the opening. So a narrow aperture that lets in a little light is a high f-stop. Okay. Then we have depth of field. That's the depth of the area before the camera that'll be in sharp focus in a photo. And the last one is shutter speed. That's the length of the time that the shutter is open. So some early art photography. This photo here is by Julia Margaret Cameron. And some of the things that you'll notice is that she used carefully controlled lighting, and she really focused on the composition of the photograph. So the way the subjects are arranged in the photograph. The next photographer that we'll talk about is named Alfred Stieglitz, and you will be able to recognize his photographs by his use of delicate shadings, very subtle gradations of texture, and we can see sort of poetry in everyday urban scenes. So you can see there a horse and carriage, but it's very beautifully done. And then the next photographer that we have is Henri Cartier-Bresson. And one thing that you'll notice in these photographs is drama, movement, and they capture a precise moment. So you can see this person's feet have not even hit the water, the ground. And then Manuel Alvarez, bravo. Uh, you'll always see some surprises, some interesting, pleasant revelations in some of his photographs. And the last one that I want to point out for these early photographers is an artist, a photographer named Man Ray, and I wanted to kind of talk about this image that you see here. So Man Ray called his photographs rayographs. He would place objects on light-sensitive paper and expose them to sunlight. So they're photographs, but no cameras or lenses are used. They're visual inventions that are recorded on film. And sometimes it's not even clear, like in this photograph, it's not even clear what the image was, what the objects were that were placed there. Obviously, we know that um, photography can have an impact on social change and also is a reflection of what is happening at the time. So a couple of these photos that I wanted to include here. The first one here is by Margaret Bourke White, and these are African American flood victims lined up, and they are standing in front of a mural that says "World's highest standard of living. There's no way like the American way." So when we look at that, this is one of the more famous images of the Depression in the United States. This is a way that photographers are able to show, they say the camera never lies. So photographers are able to show things that are happening in society in a very true way. The photo on the right is by Ansel Adams. And, in addition to the social problems like uh, the American Way photograph, photographers also use their tool to increase public awareness for the need for conservation of natural environments. So Ansel Adams is very famous for these photographs of mountain ranges, these very crisp black and white images. This one's called Clearing Winter Storm from Yosemite National Park. And then color photography began in 1907, and we had color film in 1932. Through the 1960s, most art photographers did not like color film. They didn't think that it gave good photos, and a lot of people didn't respect color film as something artistic, I guess. But when William Eggleston exhibited this color work at the Museum of Modern Art in 1976, the world started to take notice, and color photography really became a thing. I think this is our last slide. So when we talk about pushing the limits with photography, this one here by Susan Durgis is called Gibbous Moon Cloud. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. So what she does is she lays a large sheet of photosensitive paper on the bottom of a shallow pond, and she captures the look of the night sky through the water. She often shines a flashlight on the paper through the surrounding bushes to compose these night scenes. So she's kind of creating a new kind of landscape as if we're looking up from below the water at these bushes that are above. So when we talk about pushing the limits, maybe it is exploring a new technique, maybe it's pushing the limits of what your camera can do, and then maybe it's also adding photography onto unusual materials. So as we move into the digital revolution, the things that I wanted to point out are that obviously digital photographs are easier to alter. We have incredible amounts of details, so we can really zoom in and change things, and you'll be doing that in your design classes if you're not already. And then also, due to the high resolution, there are a lot of things that you can do with these digital photographs, and you're able to capture a moment in time as a boy falls from a tree, like this example by Jeff Wall. So that's our photography chapter. Thank you very much.